Yeah.
Fixed.
Let's do this the whole time. Let's do this. How are you, man?
Hey man, very good, thanks.
That's I think what several years ago you had relocated to Colorado, right?
Yeah, well,
But
no longer.
now
Now
you're
I'm
in
in
Austin, yeah,
Austin, Texas.
where everybody not from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, they moved to
It,
Austin because
it's the it's the place to be, man. Like, look at this. This is my backyard. It's what is it? The end of January, and I'm sitting in shorts outside. This is my office, by the way.
that's not that doesn't suck. That's good.
Yeah.
I have there was one year where I wound up being in Austin several times, like for I don't know, like different things.
Uh,
And at one point, it was Halloween, so it was either that day or around that time, and I got stuck at whatever probably Sixth and whatever, and the parade comes by as I'm trying to get up the service road back up onto the highway.
yeah.
45 minutes later,
Yeah.
I saw the little skeletons and whatnot go by, and that's I do remember that from Austin.
It's a great town. I've only been here a couple of years, but COVID has sucked a year of that away from me. So I really haven't been able to get out and explore. But it's a cool part of the country.
Yeah, the but obviously it doesn't suck when you have the taxes situation there. So that's why a lot of people go to Texas and Florida and
Yeah,
Nevada and
yeah,
other spots where you can and you can even live somewhere else if your business is in there.
that's right.
So
That's
that's
right.
cool. That yeah, we're Ali and I are going to Florida, which was supposed to happen last year, as a lot of people know. But there are other benefits other than just the state taxes because it comes out of something else. It's not like the money just is free.
No, it does. Trust me.
Yeah,
It looks all roses, but they'll pull it one way or the other. But it's like I said, Florida. I lived in Florida for a couple of years. I've lived all around this country, and every place I've lived, it just made it home. And so you'll do the same, I'm sure.
yeah. I've obviously lived in a lot of places as I bounced around in professional sports, but trying to think, everything has largely been on the East Coast.
Mhm.
So I mean, like by geography, I know Columbus, Georgia, and Jacksonville, North Carolina, don't really count as the East Coast, but geography, they're on the East
Yeah,
Coast. That
right.
and you can see I kept my accent that I picked up in the couple years of being in there. But I don't think, yeah, like everywhere else was really just random. I mean, when I was in Philly, I mean that was like hour and 20 from where I grew up, and college was the same area, suburban Philadelphia, New Jersey, yeah, all these, never. Now, I've been to a lot of places. I've been to Austin. I've been to Colorado many times, but never lived in as many. The zip codes are different, but the locations are not very eclectic. So
Yeah, it's true.
yeah, all right, cool. So I did one of these with Ethan several weeks ago, or
Mhm.
might have been months because I was outside. But
Yeah.
the what we've been doing, because I know you messaged earlier, should you prep for anything? No, don't worry about it. As long as you can speak English, or si quiera hacer esto en español, podemos hacer también. But as long as you can do that, then we'll be fine. What will be a little different is since we don't have a lot of personal experience, which is cool. Whereas with Ethan, we could talk about stuff that maybe he and I experienced together. Yeah, but we'll probably find a bunch of topics that we can laugh about and as well as highlight what brings you and Ethan together
Yeah.
as it relates to me is your guys' involvement. Just get right out to it with Rock Tape, and to say a few things. The first continuing education seminar that I took, which, and of course everybody remembers their first. It's an emotional thing. Wow, that's really not what I meant.
It's not what we teach.
Yeah, the first seminar that I took. So when I graduated in May of '99. So at some point within the next couple months, it was and this is really what the first question here is, Steve. I think uh, all the different brands all have different names. One of the brands, which is not Rock Tape, is Kinesio Tape. Is that correct?
Right. It's the
Yeah.
grandfather of the brand of the category, I should say.
And it's probably to the point. I'm not sure if this is accurate or not. Maybe in my mind it is. Everything is Kinesio Tape, which is not fair. That's
Yeah.
not a it's not an accurate thing to say. Um, so that the correct term would be, correct me if I'm wrong, kinesiology tape. That's what
Yeah.
they all are. And kinesio tape, or anything else that has kinesio in it, those are individual brands, and they're probably, they probably all claim, including yours, to be somewhat different than the other. Is that fair? Yeah.
Very accurate.
So let's stop calling everything kinesio tape, just as much as every copier machine is not a Xerox, if you even still use a copier. So if you look something up on the internet, it is not only Google that you can use. So that's why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I remember that first course. We'll get into some of the things that I learned then, which may or may not be consistent with what is currently, the best practice in terms of using kinesiology tape. But why don't you talk about a little bit of the differences? Hopefully, not hopefully, I'm sure you'll be very good at. We don't need to discuss anything negative about the other guys, but
Sure.
but it's okay to say that things are different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't shy away from those things, but first and foremost, wanted to thank you for having me on there. When I heard you wanted to talk, I thought, is there such a thing as like butt dialing in Instagram Live? Because that's what it almost feels like. It's like, what do you want to talk to me about? I'm not the personality. Guys like Ethan are, but I sit in the back room, and I'm the one that looks through the literature, and I try to make sense of it and put it on into paper or into a course. As you related to the naming issue, I've been told I work for Kinesio Tape my majority of my career, because everyone, just like Kleenex and Frisbee, everyone puts that name to the actual category. But like you said, Kinesio is probably the first group to the party, so they're probably best recognized. They've been around since the 70s. They deserve the credit for introducing this category of tape into the market, if you will. There's plenty of others on the market, as you said. Rock Tape is just one of them. I guess our claim when it comes to how we differentiate ourselves is just we say that we're stretchier and stickier. So really, it just comes down to the actual mechanism of how the tape feels on the body and how long it lasts. And so that's ultimately, when it comes to the product, it's stretchier and stickier from the others that are in this category.
And as a user, I can simply decide if I want stretchier or stickier. A lot of the themes that in these types of conversations, sometimes when it does become clinical, it's like you're allowed to pick what you want for your reasons. And I may, if I'm asked, I can give you my opinion on your reasons, but ultimately that's not necessary. So because what I'm getting at is, I'm sure, which I won't be doing, is communicating in this forum with other types of tape. And you're not saying it's better; you're just saying what it is. And
Yeah.
I think we can get caught up in a lot of these gang wars. That's maybe not too sensitive, but I think people get the point, that it's not why we're different and then you decide. It's I'm the best and here's why, and you're an idiot if you don't believe me. Because it's very easy to know. I'm sure people don't know what you just said, and that's just a very simple differentiation. I don't think people know. So that's useful. But I'll actually suggest why how this butt dial happened. Because like I said, like we've been doing this with a lot of folks that have a lot of personal experience. We've connected. It's been very flattering, both directions. But a problem. I mean, I don't know how long you guys have been in on this, but Rock Tape as a company, which primarily would go through you or Ethan, has been very supportive of the things that I would do. And I think if because this has kind of tumbled a little bit, which is kind of cool, then I have opportunity to give you some run a little bit, and I'm glad to do it. And one of the reasons that I'm glad to do it is because and I'm sure it's your guys' decision. You guys have primarily put out your tape and the collateral therapies that you guys believe in and you feel good enough to teach. And I get the sense, as I've been a student of these types of things from your brand, is like you figure out when to use it. Here's what it does. Here's maybe why I would use it. But basically, you've shied away up until recently of really having a very structured evaluation model to what you guys do. And I have been very vocal recently in my opinions that when you do have, I kind of say it that when the evaluation model comes inside the Cracker Jack box, you are basically pushed into a corner to only use Cracker Jacks as your solution. And that's ridiculous. Meaning there's so many brands out there that are really good. They really teach very, very good things. They have lots of scientific merit. They're usually shrouded in some nonsense. But if it works, it works. I don't think we really know why anything really works. My point is that they have their own evaluation. And if you do their evaluation, it's only going to put you into their solution.
Correct.
Which I think is a terrible thing, because they've tricked you into now excluding other solutions. So unless you're going to tell me that your evaluation takes me to every single solution that your model can solve, well, then you're full of shit. And I don't think there's a lot out there, particularly from the healthcare side. I think we accept that there's 1,000,001 ways to train, and we can get there. But when there's continued education from the rehab side, which then morphs into showing these things to non-healthcare providers, and that's a whole nother issue. But those are the models that seem to be like structured. And it's like here's your evaluation. The only way you can create a solution, even if it's genuine, which it usually isn't even genuine, is by using the exercises or therapies associated with that model. And basically, I have found you guys don't do that. And that's a component that I'd like you to talk a little bit about while I fix the light here.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
You're spot on. At least in my interpretation, I had the same. I've been in the business, or I guess in this industry, for 20 years, and I've seen the same thing, and I'm just tired of it. It's definitely a bait and switch, even though everyone knows what the switch is when you're going to a continuing ed course that has a specific product within it. And I just didn't feel right being the one that creates our education and delivers it to a brilliant team of instructors to present it. I just didn't feel right giving that. And so I would argue that we do give a method of evaluation. We call it a screening and assessment, but that it all comes down to terminology. But regardless, our way of looking at the human body is a lot more general than most protocol-based, systems that exist out there. And the protocol would say, week 2 of this type of injury, this is the tool that you need for these reasons. And then they talk about their system of approach. But we take a little bit more of a broad stance when it comes to all of our education, including tape and tools and cupping and flossing, whatever you want to have. We present this idea that, and I don't know the actual where this is quoted from, but the quote goes something like, when you know a technique, you know a technique. But when you know a concept, you know 1,000 techniques. And that's basically what we're trying to get at, is that you take your own clinical judgment and we'll provide you some tools that you can apply into that approach. And so that's what we teach within most of our curriculum.
Here's a couple of illustrations that I have. You go to the hardware, you go to Lowe's or you go to Home Depot, and you get the most badass set of wrenches. And they all got different sizes, and they all laid out by, they go in its ascending order, and it looks really cool because anybody that messes with tools, they look a lot cooler when they're just sitting on the shelf than you're actually using them and getting them dirty. So if you have 16 or 17 different wrenches, you probably need some kind of evaluation model to decide which size wrench you're going to use. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. That's where most rehab models are, particularly that are doubling into both healthcare and non-healthcare side. That's their gimmick. They're going to teach you how to use the wrench because now you're stuck in the box of wrenches, which is what they want. So you can continue to take more of their courses. And golly, if they would just admit this, like I don't think somebody like me would have really anything to say. It's that they don't admit it. Now, what really I feel should be a better practice, if it's not best, I don't know. How do I know I need a wrench? Because if I beat it into your head that you're going to do the wrench eval, you're only going to use a wrench. What happens if you need a hammer? What if you need a drill? What if you need a leaf blower? Like these are all part of a systematic evaluation. So when people say they're teaching a system, they're making up their own definition of system. And we're all charismatic enough to get dumb people to believe us. I mean that's across the board. So I think if there was a model, so clearly when you're saying, you give me this piece of tape, it's stretchy, it's sticky, I still need to understand another level of evaluation after I've decided that I want the physiology and neurology of the product or the technique. And that's where I still recommend the courses that I'm speaking condescendingly towards, because the techniques are fantastic.
Right.
When matched up to the need, when you do a full evaluation. So I'm like, listen, just go to sleep when they teach you their evaluation. Just ignore it. But dig in when they teach you the exercises, and dig in when they teach you their version of the physiology and neurology, because I want you to use some other form of evaluation so that you can pick other things, because there's no way any one thing, there's no way tape can solve every single problem that a complete evaluation can yield to you. And again, that's where I have found, like when I don't care for his attitude, but the courses are fantastic. So I'm not going to say who it is, but it's primarily a manual therapy course, and they're specializing in high velocity techniques. And point blank, I remember him saying it clearly. He's like, I'm just going to show you how to do this high velocity low amplitude thrust. You should already know how to do it. I'm not going to teach you how to evaluate a neck. I'm going to teach you how I think is very effective to treat. And then of course the sciencey part of it is explaining what the research tells us about high velocity low amplitude thrust. He came right out and said it, and I'm like, man, that's the money. Now there's other things that I would prefer that model stay away from. I mean, but hey, it's not my business. I can still attend the course and get what I want out of it. But that's really what I think is cool, if you will, on how you guys go about your role in the continuing education space. So I'm glad you agree that I'm right.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it first and foremost. Like ultimately getting the recognition that someone says they see what we're doing, and at least I don't expect us to get into a significant argument on anything we're going to talk about today, because I think we are aligned in our way of approach when it comes to dealing with a human being. But that being said, it's always nice to hear someone at least seeing what we're trying to deliver within the market.
Yeah. And I think in some of the older physical therapy, manual therapy stuff that was around, like, hey, when I graduated, outside of this, kinesio tape kinesiology tape wasn't a big deal at that time. It probably was, around the Olympics, when you start to see it on all the girls on the beach. But for me, it was the 3 M's. It was Maitland, Mulligan, and McKenzie. And Mulligan and Maitland have no model of evaluation, as far as I know. Now, I'm not certified or whatever. I haven't taken every single course that they have, but I can. Russell Woodman, who's a legend, I'm pretty sure at the time was faculty at Quinnipiac in Connecticut, and he was like showing some of the lumbar techniques for Mulligan, but he's like, dude, you have to do an evaluation before this. Like, you have to decide which direction. And then he was a student of McKenzie, where there is an evaluation. It's an atrocious, incomplete. It goes into like the wrong order. So it's like, to me, you do McKenzie to decide what wrench to use. You don't do McKenzie first. And there I do have quite a bit of experience in the courses, as well as for a short period of time working in what was considered like a McKenzie clinic. Like there was like 5 diplomats there, and they were all like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Here, watch this. Boom, 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 done. Like, get out of here with your repeat. They had the table that went on its own. And they were just it was a frustrating time, but I was able to forge my own little way of going about things. I just hated when you had to trade the clients. But my point is way back then, there was not this inherent magnet in these seminars to get you to keep coming back any more than what they needed you to. Whereas now, if you believe in what I'm saying, then you're only going to come to my, I have to like protect my market, and I don't find that they did that. So again, that's just different illustrations on what I think people can expect if they engage with your brand. And speaking of engagement, I'm not sure that you guys are 100% ready to roll all this out, but I think you have everything online now. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did the immediate switch March of last year when COVID really took its hold on the country. So we went, we had a couple of different offerings of going to virtual. One would be live webcast, if you can call it that, a live webinar, where you'd have an instructor delivering the same content that they would in a live in-person setting, but doing it via Zoom, for example. So we've had some great success over the last 12 months applying that. We just launched probably a month or two ago a platform that we call FMT Plus, which FMT just stands for our education, which is functional movement training. So FMT Plus is a on-demand platform similar to others in this space, where we have all of our courses, continuing education courses, online on demand.
Yeah.
So those are the two.
And those are, but all the different methods or techniques that we talked about before, each one has its own seminar, right?
That's right. Yeah. So that we span from, like, obviously we're probably best known since the tape is rock tape. We have our own kinesiology tape. So we have several courses that talk about kinesiology tape, from our basic education to our advanced education, which just talks more about how to apply this in a movement category. We have taping for scar manipulation, taping for pregnancy, pediatric population, and geriatric. So we have multiple courses in the tape category, but the two basic ones, or the two primary ones, are basic and advanced, 2-day courses, 6 hours each.
And then there's, I don't know what you call them, but there's an instrument assisted, right? Like,
that's right.
Yeah. So what do you call them?
We call those blades. We did, when it came to these instruments, and I always have them around, but when we came to these instruments, it's a stainless steel tool, similar to many other stainless steel tools out there, but they're, tools that allow you to grip and to be able to manipulate, if you want to use that term, the tissues that you're working on. But we just had some fun with it. One, we created specific shapes that allow it to be more ergonomic. But what I'm most proud of is the bottle opener that we have here, because
right?
This is the primary reason I just love this company since the beginning. And I'd have to give credit to a guy named Greg Van Andries, who founded this company. I was just lucky enough to ride along with him since the beginning. But when we create anything, we don't necessarily think that we have it all figured out. And this is a good example of, what we choose to do with our tools, is to put a damn, bottle opener on there, because we just want to have fun with what we're doing. So yeah, we have courses on instrument assisted soft tissue manipulation. We call it the rock blade courses. We have a basic and advanced course on that. And then we have a new course where we introduce this new device. It's, again, a stainless steel tool, but what we've done a little bit differently, we've added some attachments to it. So these are sleeves or, attachments that you can apply to the tool. So I just slide this thing in there, and now a stainless steel tool becomes a silicone tool that allows you to capture more tissue and have a different effect on the system. So we have 2 days of education on instrument assisted courses or products. We have education on myofascial cupping, or our version of myofascial cupping, and compressional floss band. Those are the primary courses that we offer.
And I'm going to tell you point blank, the absolute most desirable quality of all of those seminars is that somehow you were able to procure New Jersey physical therapy credit for all of them. You you just won Ready Player One. I mean, you just found the fourth coin that doesn't even exist. That is a nothing to do with your products and the stuff we're talking about, but I was licensed in New Jersey before that continuing education piece came through, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it obviously doesn't work because you could go anywhere and see some really disappointing things. But hey, I'm growing up in my language here as I'm on IG Live. But the originally, and it just people just once you keep hearing a bell, you basically don't hear it anymore. The complaints as to what it would take to get credit in New Jersey, like to be certified or whatever it is beyond reasonable for most. There's a lot of very, very good like things that you would never think would not be accredited. I'm not talking for instance, only Maitland 1 and 2.
Wow.
Now here's like the pinnacle of evidence-based and all this and very traditional physical therapy, which is the type of culture of this ivory tower, New Jersey, in New Jersey, New York, primarily, they all went to the same schools, and then that school jumped up, and that's where other faculty. They're all like incestuous. They're all the same people, and they whatever it is, like they just didn't. I don't think it's that expensive to apply and go through it. It's just ludicrous.
It's just the hoops. It's the hoops, bud. And so like
crazy.
I work with the smartest women that you can imagine. And so Jody, Melissa, MJ, and I'm going to throw Ethan in there, even though he's not female, but
not a woman. Not a woman.
The team of people that I get to work with are the ones that jump through all the hoops that you have to do to get these types of accreditation. And New Jersey, no joke, is probably one of the most difficult. So I take pleasure in hearing that we have it here.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna be audited now for the next right. 12 years. Come get me. Like I got more credits than half your constituency. So come find me. But right. When we were talking, Steve, we were talking about what I would look for in a seminar. Where if there's something there that I want, I'm gonna go to sleep when you talk about your evaluation. Maybe I'll listen, maybe I won't. But I'm most interested. Show me how to do it. Show me how to do your thing. But then explain to me why you think it works. Tell me your version of the neurology and physiology, and then I'm just going to try it if there's enough gravity and I didn't just completely waste my time. Back in '99, some of the things that I remember was the direction of where you did the tape. That mattered based on what you wanted to accomplish, because the tape was pre-stretched. So if you were looking for the tissue to contract this way, you would lay it in a certain way, so it kind of slacked it, reverse slacked. And if I was looking for stretch, you would do the opposite. So it would pull the tissue in the direction. And when I tried that, you would see some interesting things. Now I have no idea if it was because of the direction of the tape, if it was because of just tape, which has significant value of probably not different than putting your hand on somebody, or we were trying something new, that this individual that couldn't do a straight leg raise all of a sudden did a normal straight leg raise. So it was obviously something. So we learned that. We learned that the mechanism was something to do with lifting the skin, which then allowed fluid flow. In subsequent, maybe more contemporary thoughts, okay, that fits a significant concept in true osteopathic treatment, where fluid flow is this almost Eastern thought process of how the body maintains its integrity.
Right, stagnation.
And clearly when you apply these osteopathic techniques, there's some cool things that happen, desirable things that happen. And I'm trying to think if there was anything. Oh, and I think if there was a window into whatever the tape did. This I didn't get from the course. It was from deeper levels of investigation. Um, is there truly a mechanical thing? And I definitely want to hear your opinion on that. But it was probably more neurological. And if there was a specialized nerve ending that kinesiology tape impacts, it would be the Merkel cells. Those are the three things that if somebody kind of put their hand on my throat and they're like, "How does this shit work?"
Yeah.
That's what that. Now I have a feeling what I learned in 1999, which is probably old at that point, it may not be contemporary. So what is the neurology and physiology of kinesiology tape as you guys see fit?
I think what you explained is it echoes what I learned as well. I took mine at the same time as you did, and that directional piece of taping, I had questions about, but I wasn't smart enough at the time to really figure it out on my own. Experientially, I had some benefit of taping someone one way and someone the other way, so it kind of helped me maintain that method of approach for quite some time without really questioning it. But it wasn't until I started to ask more deeper questions and started to look into the literature, it just proved to me that there really isn't any scientific evidence that demonstrates that directional taping really matters as it relates to turning on or turning off a muscle. And you could do your own lit review, but it's been questioned for over 20, 30 years. Can we facilitate or inhibit a specific muscle by taping in a directional manner? And it's been shown to be not true. That being said, as you said, and as I noticed as well, is that sometimes taping in a specific direction gave me a favorable outcome. So I was just interested in figuring out what that was. And as you dive deeper into how a stretchy strip of tape can actually influence the nervous system, it does by stimulating the skin receptors to begin with, obviously, because that's what we're taping. And to your point, there's not many people that talk about these individual receptors, but the evidence is indicating that it's Merkel discs first because they're most superficial and most affected by that form of touch. But depending on the amount of stretch that is pulling on the skin or creating that lifting effect, if you will, you could start talking about some other receptors as well. But regardless of what receptor, it's having a conversation with the brain, and it's the brain that creates the response that you're noticing. So that would be an easy discussion, right? So we have tape, we put it on the skin, it stimulates these receptors, tells the brain to do something, and then the brain reacts. But we get different responses. So that was where it asked me to ask even deeper questions. And we really didn't get the answers that we're looking for. And so let me just kind of take a step back. If I taped in a direction, like you said, let's say from the elbow down to more towards my wrist, and I get a certain response, that response could be quite different the next day on that same person. And it could give me the completely opposite response on someone else. So I started asking, why is that? And we have to, I'm not sure if you're comfortable with this discussion, but talking about the psychosocial effect of a piece of tape or any tape on the skin. And that's the part where it gets into this slippery slope conversation. It's just a placebo. It's just a placebo.
No, yeah, I'll jump in because first of all, I did say it before. Maybe it was just because I did something novel. Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Number one, I don't think there's any such thing as a placebo. I think that is in order to have a placebo, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure people that are really going to try to argue with me aren't watching right now. But they'll watch it later. They will. In order for there to be a placebo, something good had to happen, or something something measurable had to happen, usually in a desirable fashion. I've learned so much about linguistics. Like I have to say things in a very particular way.
Well done.
Something does, because in order to say that XYZ was a placebo, that means you had to measure something. It had to be significant enough to whatever your standard is. And it probably had to be desirable. No one really talks about a placebo for something negative happening, something undesirable. So something good happened. That is undeniable. If a clinician, not a scholar, if a clinician wants to throw their hands up and say, I don't care, then they're allowed to do that. That person is probably not an educator. They probably don't really care what other people are doing. But but you're allowed to do whatever you want because
Mhm.
you measured the result the way to your standard. Now here's the thing. Why do I believe that there's no such thing as a placebo? Because you just measured the wrong thing. You're going to say it's a placebo because you're saying it didn't happen because of ABC. So that
Exactly
means
right.
there's an assumption that your method is going to yield the result because of ABC. Well, you can actually measure, did it happen because of that? And if it's no, that just means you measured the wrong thing. That doesn't
Mhm.
mean the technique is dismissal, because that's probably the next stage of this discussion, Steve, where obviously I think a lot of it has to do because the product in like is very commercial, which is okay. People are jealous. That's the way it goes.
Mhm.
Whatever. People can set their own standards. But the reality is that if it is psychosocial, I'm not even sure that's right or wrong. You could say anything is psychosocial. You
Right.
just measured the wrong thing. Did you measure in this case, or any kind of manual therapy doesn't work? Oh, really? Like, did that person's arm not just do that?
Mhm.
Did I break adhesions? Well, maybe now we have a discussion, because you can actually probably just take musculoskeletal ultrasound at this point and determine, does it even look different? Because I don't even know what an adhesion is. But tell me
Mhm.
how much you measured oxytocin. Tell me how much you measured even dopamine of this novel impact.
Mhm.
There is clear literature that shows just simple touch decreases local measures of creatine phosphokinase as a result of fatigue or physical activity. Did you measure those things?
Right.
Maybe that's why it worked. And then the next level of discussion is, well, why? And we might never know why. Like, why do we like holding hands and
Mhm.
releasing oxytocin? Well, we do know that the hands, the face, the feet, soles more than the dorsums, and the private areas are far more represented in the homunculus of the sensory cortex. But we still don't know why. Like, it's just the way it is.
Mhm.
So I have no issues talking about psychosocial, but because really what you're saying is, yo, I don't know why. But what I can prove is why I thought it worked, why I did it. So if I thought I was lifting the skin and I'm not interested if I'm right or wrong, that was what I was taught. I'm doing it for the indications that I think lifting the skin might be of value. And then I'm going to measure something else that has nothing to do with the tape.
Right.
That's the
I
answer. I mean, I don't know why that is so freaking hard.
I know. I think I triggered you with the placebo thing, and so
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
whole thing that
But
kind
we
of
were going
gets
to
me
get
going.
there. We were going to
I know,
get
but
there anyway.
the whole thing about the placebo thing is that why are we villainizing something that is giving you an outcome that you're looking for? So
Yeah.
and I don't want to get into that slippery discussion that says, well, then you just think your product is a placebo and you want to deem it to be positive because you don't have many answers. Well, no one has the answers, to your point, that no one's measured it, and so we extrapolate. I'm not going to deny, because the evidence on tape is pretty shitty to begin with, because most people are trying to ask the same damn question again and again. Can we make a muscle stronger, or
Yeah.
give it
Wrong question. Wrong
more length?
question.
Wrong question one. So we extrapolate what touch science is telling us, and to your point, it's this really cool stuff out there of saying touch has an influence on the brain, and expectation does as well, and interpretation of the environment, all these
Yeah.
variables that
Yeah.
people just don't pay attention to. So
But
I'm just tired of that.
if I put, well, first of all, I don't think anything within a matter of seconds can improve a physiological measure. That's not that's my belief. So I could do X, Y, Z, and then you can lift more weight. You always could lift more weight. There
Mm-hmm.
was some kind of neurological process that removed some kind of barrier for you to express what your contractile properties could do.
Yeah.
Same thing. Breathing for even a few minutes cannot make you more flexible. You can measure something that appears to have a larger joint excursion, but you did nothing to the inherent connective tissue. You just removed some kind of deterrent to expressing it. It was always that long. You can't change something in a few seconds. It's probably not the right word. I just don't know what the right word is. You didn't adapt. There was no adaptation. It didn't. It's not long enough.
Time. Yeah.
I call it an adjustment, which unfortunately conflicts with other valuable techniques, even though in some states I'm not allowed to do that. But I can do
Sure.
a high velocity, low amplitude thrust. You can tell that to all your college buddies. But
I will.
But whatever the technique is, oh, like, oh my God, my neck moves great after the tape or after smashing C5. Okay, but I call that an adjustment. It's an adjustment to the nervous system, which then demands you to do something else that is probably more significant to creating a long-term solution. So nothing makes anything stronger or more flexible other than what we think we know, which takes time.
Can I jump on that? Because
yeah.
I got triggered, speaking of triggers, just a couple of days ago, and I try not to, but this one really got at me, and it's not because I represent a freaking company that sells this shit. It's just that I truly believe in the idea that if it gives you an opportunity, we call it the neurological window. If you adjust, open up a neurological window of opportunity that tells the brain that, yeah, you can, have this range of motion, or you do have this amount of strength or power, whatever it may be. I just don't necessarily know why you villainize that opportunity. You can call it a placebo, but I'm saying if a friggin' strip of tape can provide an opportunity to allow me, and I don't want to stop there. This is where a lot of people will now say, well, you're just going to be relying on tape. Is like that. Well, that's on you, because you're not taking the opportunity and now layering on the adaptation that you just talked about. Is that now you do the work, but these are just tools to open that window.
Another illustration that I think is probably more in line with maybe how people are used to me communicating is this using tape, using manual therapy, and this is talking directly to these foul individuals that say you don't need manual therapy. When the real reason they're saying that is so that they can target undereducated trainers. It doesn't matter their names, because they're just horrible human beings. Like we wanted him to come and teach, high velocity techniques. He's like, no, I want to talk about the frontal plane. Hey, what are we going to talk about a plane? He's like, this is what people are saying. They want you to teach. You are the father of these techniques. No. The trainers need to learn about the frontal plane. Well, guess what, old man? You're not. First of all, you're out of the club. Now you're done, but you're not going to present at this conference. And as it relates to that, if you and I get to the same solution, which I think can happen without tape and without manual therapy, that can happen in many examples. If I get there faster, I'm better than you, and that is my interest. My interest is to be better than everybody. Is there a championship belt? No, but I do have the opportunity to maybe charge more money than you if I can get you some. So why would you choose to not go in the fast lane when you're going to get to the exact same solution, but I get there faster? It's like using dry needling, which is a very similar topic of how, why, where, when, how. Very fair. I think the literature on dry needling is significant, but it's just people may not know about it because a lot of it is under the category of acupuncture. That being said, I've had, when I treat colleagues, they're like, I get it. It's like, I can't really do it. I'm not trained in it. I'm not allowed to do it, blah, blah, blah. You're basically getting to where this is my patient who's also either a chiro or a therapist, doesn't matter. I can maybe get them here in 2 weeks, 10 days, 1 week. You're getting me there in 1 hour. And I'm like, yeah, that's all it is. Like, it's not that we're like, the physiology is completely different. And what I would also say is the inherent half-life of that method is better. So now you have the opportunity. But what we can't do is put tape on somebody, drop a needle on somebody, crack somebody's back, and be like, thank you for coming. Like, right. You did nothing. And that's where the message, I think the psychosocial messengers that don't do manual therapy, your pain science crowd, that's who they're targeting. And I don't think that's terribly unfair, even though their vigor and venom in their message is really unfounded, because none of these are good therapists. Like, none of them are getting to solutions quickly. And I have this, firsthand. So it's, that's the whole idea of placebo, the whole idea of, can you accomplish certain things? But if you get a running start because you use tape or manual therapy, there is reasons why it did something. And a lot of those things are simply not measured because we're not, measuring oxytocin or CPK, and things along this nature. It's not practical to measure. But yeah, I think so. We call it psychosocial, call it placebo, call it success. Like something good happened, and it's not someone else's responsibility to meet your standards, and that's why I try not. I mean, I get mad, but it's more like a bee sting. It's like I don't lose sleep over it. Look, but why do you care what I do? Well, I did mention it. I think when people do perceive a level of commercial success, that does motivate the message. And look, I don't think jealousy is a bad thing if you can channel it in the right way. If you have a nice backyard in Austin, I think I want it. Well, I better bust my ass so I can have a nice house too. Like I don't think that's a bad thing. But if I'm going to start dogging you, then I have a problem. Then that's inappropriate, and that's where they're coming from. As they treat 4 people an hour in network. Maybe if they're lucky, if they can clear $60 an hour. So it's, but so do you think that the skin is part of this? Is this an osteopathic thing that what Kenzo Kase was talking about many years ago? Is that still something you guys teach?
Absolutely. Skin is the handle. It's one tissue. And I think a lot of us, get we get trained into believing that we're affecting a specific muscle, tendon, ligament, and you have to go through the skin. At least from my understanding, I don't see people cutting through the skin and then touching that tissue directly. So the skin is the handle, in our opinion. So why not take advantage of it? And so we talk a lot about the skin and its influence on the nervous system and movement, because the skin can be adhered as well to the tissues below it, and that can actually influence mobility. And so a lot of people just blow through it and don't really pay attention to what they're really treating.
Yeah. Something else that I have found to be very positive. Your company, 2 things, they're both related. Your company was changed hands a few years ago, I believe, which sometimes goes one way or the other. It seems like it's gone in the right direction for the goals that people like you and Ethan have. And I wouldn't expect you to say anything other in a public forum. But clearly, in my situation, team gets a new general manager. Doesn't matter if you got a contract. Everybody's still on a little bit on edge, depending on where things can go. If you guys have had an opportunity to impact that decision, it appears to have gone well, which is good. But the other thing is, it also appears that you have had, and I might be wrong, but not a lot of turnover in your next level of instructors. Is that correct? Maybe what I'm trying to say is that it seems like the same people have been teaching your courses for the last several years, even before the parent company changed hands.
That's right.
I think that's awesome. I mean, that's go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's really positive.
Just we were acquired, and we could say it out loud. The company that acquired us is called Implus, and Implus is, for a lack of a better term, a house of brands. They own a bunch of companies in this category, and there's a couple that I'd like to reference because I work pretty heavily with them now, is Trigger Point and Skills, 2 other category of products that are under our umbrella now, and we have education that's delivered on those products as well, and at least our system of approach of using those products. But with the acquisition of Rock Tape by Implus now being our parent company, I would agree that they offer us a lot more opportunity that a small little company of 20 of us, now we have a company of I don't know how many hundred, but it's a huge company, and so the resources that are available to us are pretty good now. And what I'm most proud of is that we've been able to take the core team of education and product, as well as our instructors that teach this content around the world, with us along the way. So it's been a good ride overall.
But I think anytime you look at a business that seems to have the same people working there year after year after year, there's some breadcrumbs there that are positive. Sometimes it's, people are getting paid well. Most of the time, though, it's because
culture
leadership has put them in a place where they don't have to get paid well. They're compensated with such a positive environment.
That's absolutely true.
And that's what I've noticed. And these are things that I didn't always notice or didn't always care about. But now that I do care about them greatly, as somebody that is responsible for business, you notice it when other people are doing it. And that has nothing to do with tape, but it's something that I think if anybody evaluates something and there's constantly different people that are commenting on the message, maybe there if this is about being candid. My level of debt to Gray Cook is very, very high. I'm very, very comfortable saying you don't ever forget the people that got you to the dance. And I have to say that for some reason, these conversations seem to happen in bathrooms more than because like we're both going to the bathroom at the same time when we're at these conferences. And almost, obviously I'm stuttering a little bit because there's some degree of emotional nature to this. But one of the things he was saying is like, if you look back into how long functional movement systems has been a thing and how it has grown into levels that I don't even always comment glowingly about because it's about business. It doesn't always have to be my way. He's like, if you look at the core group, it's all the same dudes and young ladies. It's all the same people. And it's not because like I don't get paid by them. I've already been paid by this foundation of information and this foundation of being highlighted and given opportunities to discuss certain things. Mike Boyle, the same. But it's like if you see the same people, it's like if you go into page 367 of Movement, that was where Gray named everybody that up to that time. And like, oh my God, like, and that's a long time ago. So for, I don't even know if I was 30 years old at that time.
Wow.
And it's like, if you look at that list, everybody is still relatively active as a very positive messenger. Some people work for the company proper. Other people are friends or advisors, et cetera. And I probably fit more into the latter. But I think when you see these brands that the opposite could be, I could think of something, it doesn't matter what the name is, a couple of their lead instructors, aren't so happy with them anymore and have chosen to move on, or other models where they resign. If I don't work for your company, I don't resign from your company. Just because I'm a independent contractor that gets to teach for you a couple times a year, I'm not me for you, but in general, I don't think resigning is something that is what is happening. You can call it whatever you want. You're not a bad person. I think that's kind of creating a little bit more. But when you look at that particular brand that I'm talking about, which again has excellent premier quality of education, if there's all this consistent turnover of people, well, maybe there's something else going on. And again, that's to answer one of your first questions of why we wanted to do this. That has nothing to do about tape. I think a message that I want to get across is when you see the same people over and over again, it's probably a good thing.
Yeah. And that's, we got the best team. I can't tell you how proud I am. We just had our annual instructor summit, which we usually do in Mexico at this time of year, but we just did it virtual, which sucked compared to what we usually experience. But, I have close to 45 to 50 US and Canada based instructors that I'm just so proud of. And all of them have stuck around. We've been having discussions like we met each other 7, 8, 9 years ago, and they're still teaching our content, which probably what I'm most proud of is the culture of the company that we've created and the people that we've embraced along the way.
Yeah. And there's no recipe for that other than picking the right people the first time or tell them to hit the skids as quickly as possible, which is never an easy thing to do. Hire slow, fire fast. And but you don't have to get into the fire fast if you pick the right people to begin with.
Yeah, we're so lucky that way.
I've been in so many situations where it's both, where Canada basketball is like, dude, everybody's an intern, so people don't know any other way, so we just hire. And then are we missing out on people that try to enter in at a more terminal level? Well, we don't have the roles for that. If we did, and the roles exceeded what our feeder system had available, well, then we would look at that. But we don't need to do that. Why would I bother? Like it's, oh, well, you're not, you could be missing the next great person. Yeah, I guess I could. But that's, and then the other way, which I'm not going to name specific situations, where it's just a hodgepodge. You can't possibly expect random people to work together. And it's really a commentary on the vision of whoever's the prime. I'm not going to say leader because they're clearly not a leader. Whoever the primary stakeholder is or the primary decision maker, they're the ones that are putting these random people together. There's a quote from Einstein, and it's when I talk to general managers or even owners in pro sport, it's like, well, could you come in and do this? I'm like, I guess, but like, why do you think this will work? Like, you're now adding a middle manager boss to these people that already have caused you trouble. Like, you think I'm somehow gonna be able to
change it?
Now, if I'm not saying it's impossible, but that would just be completely random. That whatever any one individual has in those management skills actually fits the bandwidth of what those workers have to offer. It's random. Why don't you just, eat the salaries and let you believe in a vision, you believe in a manager, and let them pick all the right people. Like, and then your problem is solved. I don't know why, because in pro sport, that happens with players, it happens with coaches. Public universities eat 20, 30, 40 million dollars when they fire a head coach of a major sport, but you can't dump an assistant strength coach who's probably not even making 100. It's very strange. But the quote from Einstein is something to the effect that you can't expect different results under different people, and that's whatever secret sauce you have applied. Again, I've noticed it, and it's really cool to. It doesn't have anything to do with you or me or your brand. That's something that I think a lot of people can take away from this conversation.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Last thing is maybe you said Mexico. I think you invited me maybe to one in Miami. Was that happening?
That was our annual conference. So I shouldn't say annual. It's every other year, but we have an event called Rockstock where
what is that? What is that all about?
We just bring a bunch of cool people together. I invited you because I wanted you to be there. And,
I'm not that cool.
It didn't work out. Didn't work out that one. But we do an annual weekend convention, if you will, Rockstock, where we have speakers just coming and just basically rapping about what they think about movement. And we don't talk about our products at all. We just we just give the floor to other people. I've invited people like Cook and others, and some have accepted and some have not. But the whole forum is just about talking about movement and different ways of achieving it more effectively and efficiently. So it's an awesome event. We flip around from East Coast to West Coast. So typically it's either in Huntington Beach, California, or now the most recent was in Miami. But we probably won't have one this year, but we'll look forward to having one in 2022.
Well, golly, from what I hear in Florida, it's like they don't believe in COVID. Everything is normal there. Everything is solid.
It's true. Well, but we're going to move it to the West Coast, and West Coast isn't ready. So we're going to wait till next year.
Wow, I didn't really think of that, like the complete dichotomy there.
Oh, there's a dichotomy, all right.
What's it like there? What's it like in Texas? Or what's it like Texas, in Austin?
Austin's a different island within Texas, but ultimately the people around me are all consistent. We're following the guidelines, if you will, but Texas as a general rule is a little bit less concerned about the actual pandemic from my interpretation. And it's not a political statement. It's just what I see. But ultimately this area where I am, we're just all trying to be as safe as we can.
You could wear 3 or 4 masks and still smell the barbecue from down the street, right?
Well, thankfully I can. Yeah.
How far are you from Salt Lake?
Probably a stone's throw away.
You're looking at it right.
I'm pretty close to it. Yeah, I'm about 5 minutes away from it. I'm real close. I'm in South Austin, so more in the burbs.
Yeah, let's see. The chain restaurant is something land and cattle, but then there's a real deal in Austin that's something else. So the Texas Land and Cattle might be the chain. That's like Outback. That's like probably better than Outback, right? Probably better than Outback. Right. But then there's like Austin Steak and Cattle, Land and Cattle. Maybe that's what it's called. That's like you're not getting out of there without a couple hundred per person or something. I've been there once.
easily. Like I said, I haven't got a chance to, to visit all of them other than Salt Lake, which since it's in my backyard, I definitely go to more often. The experience is friggin' cool though.
Yeah, yeah.
Overall, like I wouldn't say it's the best barbecue I've had. I've had better in Kansas City
Mm.
but I mean, but there are places that I haven't gone to in Austin that I should, because everyone like you rave about these places that I haven't been able to get into yet.
Yeah, best barbecue. So I've had Carolina doesn't really count because I could do without pulled pork. I've been to Austin, Dallas, like all these spots.
Hmm.
I remember. I'm gonna guess we had played the Rockets and Brian Skinner. And so it was either the Rockets or the Mavericks. It was probably the Rockets where he brought
Hmm.
he yeah, after the game he had a whole bunch of some kind of brand come through. But one of my buddies is he's in a big restaurant group out of New York City and Pig Beach. I don't know if they're going to go Gold Belly at some point because it's already not inexpensive
Hmm.
to start with, but that might be the best barbecue. Where the chef was at one of these, like you need to know somebody to get into
Oh, yeah.
these
Right.
restaurants. So he
Nice.
went out on his own instead of trying to get to that top level of some of those New York City spots. And then relatively around the Northeast was Dinosaur Barbecue, which a lot of people might have heard of. But that is an eclectic. Like you can get like St. Louis ribs, you can get
Oh,
Memphis ribs, you can get
cool.
all these different things. But I've been to Pappy's in St. Louis. That's
Yep.
that's that's heavy hitter because like you, if you travel a lot, you can sometimes you. I don't really do this anymore, but years ago I would always get in a day early and leave on the last flight out, so you get these
Hmm.
extra days on the expense report. Real slick. Uh, I would go to where Man versus Food would when that was a TV show.
Yeah, I
So
do
I would
remember that.
hit I in St. Louis that evening. I think we went to whatever the milkshake place is. There's a picture of me and Bill Hartman.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's I think it's called Candy Kitchen, but that could be wrong. You're meant to drink like not. It's like the silver things of milkshake. So it's like more
Hmm.
than one in there, and you had to have five in an hour. And the only people that can do it is like you're drinking it and I'm stirring it for you so that it's not a glop
Yeah.
of gunk
Right.
when you're. So that one, East St. Louis, which we didn't know really what that meant when we're driving over there, and it was light out when we got there. It was dark when we left.
Wow.
Navigation wasn't quite working. There was some detours that did not make for a comfortable ride home. Not because we had too many milkshakes, but because you don't want to be a tourist in East St. Louis at night. That was rough. But
Uh,
all those Austin, like I'm trying to think. A lot of times there, if I'm like working at a conference or something, you don't always get a chance. Like you got to be quick sometimes. So I can't really remember other than I'm not a big drinker, but I have had one or two dozen in the past. What is Sixth Avenue, right? That's Sixth
yeah,
Street or Sixth Avenue.
that's right.
That's but it gets a little weird. That's like Burlington, Vermont, or Portland, Oregon,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
territory.
Just be careful on what time of year. If you're coming, during football season, six becomes a different world overall. So just
Oh, I've
choose it the
seen
right time.
I've seen probably not this year camping out for tickets or camping out to get into the football game.
Yeah,
And I've seen a basketball game at Texas when Todd Wright was still the strength coach. So yeah, I like Austin, but you hear a lot of people moving there over the last
it
couple of
is.
years.
It is.
People from LA go to Austin. People from New
That's
York
fair.
people from they go to Boca Raton South, but people from LA go to Austin. So you got
Yeah,
that little that's a different attitude.
it is. Yeah,
So
but it's a good place so far.
yeah. All right, man. Hopefully we served a couple masters here, and I think I was very glad to be able to hopefully um, highlight some things that hopefully people can recognize may not have anything to do with the brand itself, and start to appreciate different components that make it what it is. But at the same time, taping and kinesiology taping is a very, very useful tool. And I don't know that any of the other brands have the level of commitment to education that you guys have. So hopefully people were able to see through that, and it wasn't nearly a commercial for an hour.
That would be preferred. But I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's always great to actually get the chance to talk to you. And I will be asking you about the next rock stock, regardless of what coast.
Maybe ask me now for like 3 years. We'll see.
Yeah, understood.
That's I'm not trying to pump my own tires. It's a challenge. But I will say that living in Florida at that time, maybe it's a little bit easier.
We'll see what we can do.
Or Orlando. Put it in Orlando.
All right, gotcha.
All right, man.
All right,
All right, well done.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
All right, take.